Okay, welcome to a Thursday. This is our Zoom chat of the day. This man always joins me on a Thursday anyway, around 4 o'clock. His name's Tim Walters with the Florida Today, but it appears he's also with the Nashville Predators. What is going on here, buddy? Start with that. What's going on?
Today, Mark, I had to reach deep into the closet to break out my 1998 inaugural Nashville Predators jersey. So this, yes, is from their first season from 1998.
What?
So when I was in college at the University of Florida in Gainesville for 3.5 years, I worked at the Athletic Attic. And, we would always get all the latest stuff. Like when the Michael Jordan shoes came out, I worked on commission, so I always wanted to be at work that day. So so I worked at a shoe store, and I remember when these jerseys came in, and I was blown away. I was like, that thing is so cool. You got the big saber tooth. So, the people who are listening to this on the radio, they've got to go look up the big logo or try and find this our live stream on Facebook so they can see this awesome jersey. But yeah, so I used to get a big discount. It was like 40 or 50%. So I was able to get this jersey, which at the time, late 90s, I would say it was maybe about $100, $120. So I got it for like $60. It was so worth it. And I've always hung on to it. I love how it looks. It's pretty cool. I was in Nashville last summer where Gannett has a big newspaper. And I had a documentary that was being viewed. So they flew me up there and I walked by the stadium. Unfortunately, it was in mid-July, so the Predators weren't playing at the time. But it was cool to walk by the stadium and see it. And, love my jersey.
That's it. I can't allow this. Hold on. That's it. You're going down, buddy. I'm putting on the real team, okay? This is what you're getting right here. America's team, all right? How dare you wear that on my show, all right? I'm going to wear this right here, okay? This is sort of real, okay? I don't know if you know this. This is what a real franchise looks like with the greatest logo in sports. And don't you forget, Tim. That's right.
So the Chicago Blackhawks, I think I'm going to have to pull the jersey over your head and start belting you then.
There are times where it's like Halloween and guys are dressed as Wayne and Garth, but I don't realize it at first. So, in the movie, they're wearing their Blackhawk sweaters and they're playing in the streets. So, I'll go up to some of them and I'm like, hey, what do you think about our third line? Do you think Corey Crawford will be good in goal? And they're like, I don't know what you're talking about, sir. I'm not a fan of the team. Oh, that's right. So, stupid Nashville Predators. I can't believe you own that. Is that the most obscure jersey that you own in your collection?
It must be, because I can't tell you anything about the Predators other than they started in 1998, and I've been by their stadium. So, I'm actually more of a fan of the Tampa Bay Lightning. I've been over to Tampa several times to see games, but I just like this jersey. Doesn't it look cool?
It does. It does look cool. So it's a saber-toothed cat, but they're Predators. That I wish we could have been in the meeting when they came up, what the team names could be. So they're like, how about the Predators? What do you mean a predator? It's a cat. That would have been the best, Tim, if we could do that. Oh
yeah, but we've got to make it mean. So let's give it giant front fangs,
And then 15 years later, the team's going to get hot, and then all the country music stars are going to get behind the team. Remember this? When they made the cup final. So funny. Hey, we've discussed this before. The team names for the Orlando Magic, where they could have been the Heat or the Oranges or the Crush. It's fun to go over that, what teams could have been called.
Well, if you remember, I wanted to call a Major League Baseball team the Orlando Attractions. I thought that would have been a cool name.
Yeah. Now it'd be the Closed Attractions. That's the problem. You were telling me off air that you're actually going to go to Disney World. You did it. To explain yourself. How did you do this, Tim?
Yeah, so speaking of attractions, that's a beautiful segue there, Mark. We, in February, had set up plans to go to Disney in July. We made hotel reservations. It's my daughter's birthday. We've taken her there every year for her birthday. So we did this in February before we knew there was going to be a pandemic. Mm-hmm. So our dates were supposed to be July 8th through 10th. Well, Disney announces its opening on July 11th. So it was like, okay, well, what do? We put down a deposit. Do we try and get our money back? Do we want to see what it's going to be with Disney? So my wife and I, we had a serious discussion about it. And we've decided, we called to see if we could move our hotel reservations, which, they were able to do that till the following weekend, but it's at a different hotel group. But the other challenge was you already had to have tickets purchased because there was no way to buy tickets at this point. So luckily we had tickets. And then starting this past Monday, a couple of days ago, for a 4-day period, they opened up for hotel guests who had tickets could go in and link their tickets to the day you get in the park. Because now they're only letting in a certain number of people to the park, and your tickets have to be assigned to the day that you want to go. So it went live at, I think, 8 or 9 o'clock on Monday morning. Well, the system crashed. And all people were getting was just a pink castle with floating clouds. And I was following a couple of different blogs of people complaining. Well, at about 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning, you'd see people who said, well, I just left it on for like 3 hours and it eventually came up. So it says don't refresh the page, just don't do that. So I left mine on. And after several hours, it actually did come up, but then it kept booting us out, and then it would send us back to another waiting screen. Well, at about one, I was working that day, so I had my wife's tablet next to me while I'm doing work, and it's just that thing was just churning and churning, and then it would come up and boot me out. Well, finally, at about 1:30 that day, yeah, my wife started at 7 in the morning, so 1:30 that day, about 6.5 hours later, we were finally able to link our tickets up to the day that we wanted in the park. And, right now it seems as though the limitations are affecting Hollywood studios the most because people want to see the new Mickey ride, the Mickey Minnie ride, and the Star Wars land. So that park was gone, but we were able to get the Magic Kingdom, which is what we wanted for our daughter. So we'll be wearing our masks. It's going to be hot in July. I understand that. We went to Disney Springs for lunch last week, where you have to wear a mask outside. And, it was kind of like practice to see how our 5, soon to be 6-year-old daughter would do wearing a mask. And she did very well. They were very clean. The staff was fantastic. So, we're just going to do our best we can and do our due diligence next month.
Okay, first off, this jersey is extremely hot. I just want you to know that. Okay.
I'm pretty warm too, yeah.
I might have to take it off here in a minute. I'm not going to lie to you. When you went to Disney Springs, were all the stores open, or were some of them closed?
Some were closed, some were open. They've only got one parking garage open right now, and there's no surface parking. So you have to park in the only garage they allow you to park in. And then as you're walking out of the garage, there's kind of a setup before you do the crosswalk that goes from the garage into Disney Springs. And the first thing they do is make sure you have a mask. So we saw one woman and her family who were arguing with Disney employees because they didn't want to wear their masks inside. And the guy said, well, I'm sorry, you've got to wear a mask or you're not getting in. And so, they all went in a huff back to their car. I don't know if they went to get their masks or left. At that point, I don't care. There are rules, follow them. It's that simple. Every medical expert says masks will, mitigate the risk of coronavirus. It's not a Democrat or Republican thing. I listen to medical experts and not people who think they're medical experts. But I digress. So after you get through they make sure you have your mask. Then they have the temperature gauge guns that they hold up to your forehead. They check your temperature. We didn't see anyone get turned away for high fevers. And then they let you in the park. And then we wore a mask all the way through the point where we checked in at the restaurant. They sat us down, and then, we ordered with our masks on because we were having respect for our server. And then we took them off to eat, essentially. And that's what we did. And then when we left, we put them back on. We did go into a couple of stores because my wife likes to go to the Disney Christmas shop. And so we did that. We went into the toy store with my daughter, and she got a couple of Disney Cars toys, and we went home. So it was about 2 hours. Everything was very clean. Everything, it was not very busy. I'm used to going to Disney Springs, and it's elbow to elbow, and, there was 1/100th of the people you'd normally see there. So that's kind of the story of what we've seen.
Okay, how about instead of like kind of the gun for your temperature, how about we do the Simpsons love tester instead with Grandpa? You know what I'm talking about. Let's do that. Make it
It's
fun.
the Love-matic Grandpa.
I know. Universal, when you go to the Simpsons land, I turned into an 8-year-old kid. Like, it was the greatest thing. The first time you go, that's why you have to bring other friends to experience it through them the second time. It's just like, when you go into Moe's Tavern and it has the love tester there. It's the best thing ever.
And I got a flaming Mo as well.
Oh, yeah. So the first time I went there was like 2015, I'd say. And my parents and I, a bunch of family, we went. And my dad looks at me and he's like, do you want to get some butterbeer at Harry Potter? And I go, no. My whole life, I know this is bad to say, but I go, my whole life, I watched Homer Simpson go to Moe's Tavern to get a Duff beer. I'm going to go get a Duff beer. And I know it was just like Miller Lite, but it was cool. Like, you're at Moe's Tavern, the love tester is there. Also, the jukebox is broken, just like in the show. And I got a Krusty Burger. It was the greatest day of my life. I'm not going to lie to you. I loved it, Tim.
I got a Krusty Burger with cheese.
Oh, I know, I did. So it makes me laugh. So instead of like the gun, right, to do the temperature, let's have the love tester wherever we go. It'll be great. So we need. It's so good. I tried the Flaming Mo. I'm still confused what it is, what they serve you there. Is it cough syrup? What is it?
Just some sort of sugary drink with dry ice in it that I hope isn't poisonous.
Okay, so I'm going to do this live. I have the Disney app because, all right, so I got back in January, I bought that 3-day Florida pass, and I only used it for 1 day. So if I go in the app, right, let's see. Okay, does it let you do it? If I do it,
you won't be able to link your tickets as a non-resort person or as a non-season ticket holder until I think this upcoming Monday, because people with the year passes, I think tomorrow can go in and link their tickets, and then Monday I think it opens to the general public.
And then it's like you can't. I think you were saying this earlier. You can't park hop for. I think you only can go to one. So
yeah, no park hoppers, and I don't think that they're allowing fast passes either, if I read it correctly. And the parks, they're limited. It's from 9 to 7. You know, people are used to Disney parks being open a lot later, and so it's limited there. And so we're just going to try and go and do some of my daughter's favorite rides. She loves her favorite hotel is the Cars Hotel, which wasn't open. We're staying at the Polynesian now, which is a little bit more expensive, unfortunately. But, everything at Disney is expensive. But my daughter loves Moana, so we're going to give that a try. And, just hope and pray that we can all do it safely without getting sick.
Can we have your daughter on the show so I can break down Moana with her? I want to know her opinions on this movie because I've told you before, I don't think The Rock is really a good person in this movie. Like, he's kind of a jerk to Moana the whole movie.
And that's funny because that's like her favorite character. She loves him. She loves the big fishing hook. When she watches the movie, she pretends to be him and not Moana. So, but my daughter, for some strange reason, my beautiful little curly-haired blonde girl always goes for the villains. So she loves Darth Vader. She loves The Rock's character in Moana. She loves, Gru in Despicable Me 1 when he's the bad guy. And then she likes the villains in the next 2 movies. So she's, I hope I'm not breeding a supervillain.
Okay, the only ride I have not been on, and you know this, I've not been on the Avatar ride. That's the only one. Every time I've tried going to this park, the line is 3.5 hours long, even on the app. So I think the game plan is I'm going to get in a hazmat suit. I'm going to get there at 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to go to the, where's it? I think it's Animal Kingdom. I think that's where it is. And I'm going to get on this ride. Even if it only takes 45 minutes, I'm going to do it. That's the game plan. So maybe I can get in the car with you. You guys go to Magic Kingdom, and then I'll go over there, and we'll make a day of it. Game plan? Are we good?
Sounds like a plan. That's definitely worth it. It's the second best ride at all the Disney parks after the new Star Wars ride. The Avatar ride is just absolutely fantastic. So, hey, we'll drop you off. You may have a long walk home because we're staying overnight, but, you can maybe cuddle up on the couch if you want.
Sure. Your wife's like, that dude's not staying in our hotel room. All right, he can get his own room. Stay in the car.
My wife's pretty shrewd. She'd probably say, will he pay a third of the cost?
I might have to. That's what it might be. I have to take this off. This is so hot. I'm sorry. I'm burning up in my own house. Hold on. I got to take this off. This is crazy.
That tells me you need to put the air down. I wonder what the Mark Moses electric bill looks like.
There's the other thing is like, I got a light on me as well to try to make this TV quality. So the light is beaming on me. Yeah, I I didn't plan this out very well. I didn't. I'm sorry to tell you that, Tim. We're here with Tim Walters, Florida Today newspaper. Are you excited that baseball will be back in another month?
Oh yeah, I'm really excited about this. Pitchers and catchers will report as they normally do in spring training first, and the rest of the players will come sometime around July 1st. Instead of spring training, maybe we will call it summer training or sweating training. Looks like the spring trainings will be at most of the major league parks and things like that because Florida unfortunately has seen a rapid surge in its COVID-19 cases. So there's that and. But yeah, 60-game season looks like it's starting in late July. A lot of cool things that they're going to be trying. They're doing the schedule mitigation. They're playing 10 games against each team in their divisions, and then they're playing 20 games against the opposite league's division. So AFC, I'm talking football. The AL East might play the NL East type of thing. The designated hitter will be used in both leagues, but I love this one. This just makes me think of like a little league game. It says during extra inning games in the regular season, each half inning will begin with a runner on second base. The batter who made the final out of the previous inning or a pinch runner for that batter would be the runner. So you're starting someone at second base. But, I understand they don't want games going 20 innings. You're limited. A lot of the times they're going to be playing a lot of double headers during this time. So, I just think it's great. 60 games. Hopefully, it sounds like they're going to be doing a ton of COVID-19 testing. They've got plans for, how you keep players out. You've got backup players that you can have. So it's just there's a lot to take into consideration here. But, hey, I will give Major League Baseball this. If you look at how baseball handled it 100 years ago during the pandemic, the Spanish flu pandemic, they still had just packed crowds watching baseball games wearing surgical masks. And, that wiped out a lot more people than COVID-19. So, hey, Major League Baseball is trying to do it as responsibly as they can. They're giving the players the prorated money that they want. So, let's play ball as long as, we can do it as good and safe as possible.
Okay, so what Tim's talking about is if we go to extra innings, you're just going to start with a guy on second base, no outs. So in theory, let's say you're at the top. Okay, you got the guy in second base. First guy up should bunt him over to third, right? And then your second guy up should just try to sac fly him in. You get the 1-run lead. The problem is the other team also gets the guy on second base, and this happens every inning. I know I'm like evil. I want to see that happen where they get him in, the other team gets him in, and it just goes on forever for 20 innings where they keep scoring runs.
Well, that's when they should have said after like 12 innings, you have a home run derby or something. But, there is strategy that goes with having that guy at second because if you have your big power guys coming up, you're not going to want to bunt them over and just try and get that one run. Baseball's become kind of the all or nothing sport where it's strikeout or jack, and they're going to have the guys swinging for the fences because a 2-run lead's a lot nicer than a 1-run lead. Problem with that is if you don't get that runner across, then the team in the bottom of the inning, then no matter who's coming up, they're bunting them to third and trying to get that sac fly to win the game. So, the team in the top of the inning is going to have a lot more strategy than the team in the bottom of the inning. They're going to have to be a lot more reactive in the bottom of the inning. So, managers are going to have to earn their keep this year too.
What's going to be interesting is like if you go to Vegas and you could do like MVP voting, it's going to be so wide open. We could have a nobody win the MVP this year because 60 games, I'm not joking around with this. Anyone could win the MVP. Anyone could win a Cy Young. So you could have like the utility guy on the Mets, win MVP, and it might be 1,200 to 1 that he wins MVP. That could happen, Tim.
If you look at what 60 games out of a normally 162 game season, it's 37.5% roughly of the season. So let's say you take last year's home run champ, which was Pete Alonso. He hit 53 homers. 37.5% of 53 homers is 19.7 something. So it's 20 home runs. So you could have a league leader with 20 home runs. You could have a guy hit 400. But from what I read, the last guy through a 60-game span that hit 400 was Chipper Jones in something like 2006 or 2008. He had a 408 batting average through 60 games. You look at Tony Gwynn in the shortened season of 1994. He hit, I think it was 393 or 394 through 110 games. So, you never know. You could see a 400 hitter, but, if you see a guy hit a home run a game and, hit 40 home runs this year, wouldn't that be something too? Because you prorate that, that'd be like a 90 home run season.
I keep asking you this question. I know the listeners get sick of it. How many wins does it take to win a division? 40? 38? What's it going to be?
Well, I mean, you figure usually about 100 games or 105 will win a division with a really good record. So, you're looking at winning roughly 66.6% of your games, which over 60 games is 40. So, 40 to 42 games will win a division. And, heck, you might see a team with 28 or 30 wins get one of those 14 playoff spots. I mean, 14 out of 30 teams are going to make the playoffs now. So you might get a low-end team that maybe only wins half their games or less than half their games get in the playoffs. Could be like when you see a 7-9 team in the NFL get in,
I don't think there's going to be spring training games. I think you're just going to, scrimmage with your own squad, and then all of a sudden you're going to start the season. So it's like you have to give these guys a couple games to get used to playing again. But the problem is, if you start 0-7, you're probably out of the playoff hunt already. That's how crazy that is. If let's say you're 2-8 in your first 10 games, you're going to have to go crazy down the stretch, which is not going to happen. That's why I can't believe I'm going to say this. This is the most excited I am for a baseball season in maybe about 10 or 12 years. I know your Cubs won the World Series, but there's so many question marks that I'm so excited for this, Tim. What about you?
Oh, here's a funny stat that I read for the Marlins. Even though they've won 2 World Series championships, they've never actually been in a division lead with 60 games to go in a season. So starting tied for their division lead with 60 games left, this is as good as the Marlins have ever had it.
There was some joke I saw on Twitter last night where someone wrote a real article where Miami Marlins are like, maybe we can let fans in, social distancing, and No. Essentially, you were saying with the coronavirus stuff. No. But the joke is, people are like, what's the difference? Those are your crowds anyway during a Marlins game. So why would it be any difference? Oh, you only have 100 people there? Well, we call that a Thursday at Marlins Park. What are you talking about? So
yeah, it's definitely that, and Tampa might be the 2 most socially distant stadiums when there's no restrictions put in place. So,
hey, they are. I think the Marlins are dead last in attendance, and the Rays are second to dead last every year. So it is. There's no difference. I have something for you. If we're doing more fashion today, here with Tim Walters, Florida Today, I own something that I know Tim Walters does not own in his house. He started this conversation where he's wearing a Nashville Predators sweater. I know he doesn't have one of these. There's no way this is allowed in your house. So I'm going to show it to you. This right here is what we call a pale hose hat, right? For the White Sox. There's no way. I know you love the Cubbies. You love wearing blue. There's no way you own one of these. Am I correct?
Uh-oh. No, but I'll show you something I know you don't own.
What?
Let's see. This is the 2016 Chicago Cubs World Series Championship pennant, a replica from the Highland Mint. So, I always keep that baby real close.
Wow. That is really nice. I need to get one of those. I like this. Yeah, remember, the commissioner says it's just a piece of metal, though. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, and every player that's ever won one and every fan that's ever celebrated one wanted to hit the commissioner. So,
I ever tell you the story? I actually saw the Cubs World Series trophy. My sister and I were in Wrigleyville. This was maybe 17. We were there for fun. I said, let's go see. I want to see the renovations to the stadium. So we went over there, and maybe I've told you this before. It was out of Back to the Future, where it's this random guy comes up to us, and he's like, hey, would you like to take your photo with the trophy? And I'm like, what trophy? What are you talking about? Yeah, it was just right out of Back to the Future 2. Do you want to take it with the trophy? And he's like, we're with Verizon Wireless. And if you sign up right now, you get, and that's what I'm, so we waited in line. I'll find you the photo. My sister and I, there is a photo, and I never thought this would happen. My sister and I are with the Cubs World Series trophy, and I will send
That's awesome.
Isn't that awesome? It really was like the guy came out of nowhere, and he was shady, and he was like looking both ways, and he's like, hey, you, come over here. You want to take your photo with the trophy? God. Yeah. I also know there's no way you have this either. The only baseball jersey that I own that is not one of my softball beer league jerseys. This is right here. This guy should be in the Hall of Fame right here. Mr. Mark Burley. That's right. World Series champion. He's thrown a no-hitter and a perfect game and started the All-Star game. And the guy was a stud. He needs to be in the Hall of Fame. I will start the case right now for him, Tim. That is what I will work on for the rest of the year.
Good luck with that. I'll have to research his numbers to see if I'm with you.
You should. All right. You're working on a Mars project for the Florida Today. Is this correct?
That is right. Right now, as of July 20th, they are planning to send a second car-sized rover to the Red Planet. So in 2012, Mars Curiosity rover, a 2,000-pound rover, reached the surface of Mars in what I consider to be the second greatest engineering feat of human history after the Apollo 11 moon landing. What they did essentially, in previous landers, when they had landed the little landers on Mars, they put them in giant, like bubble wrap balloons, and they come through the atmosphere and bounce onto the surface of Mars. Then the airbag deflates and a little teeny tiny 50, 60, 80-pound rover rolls out. The first one was literally not much larger than a loaf of bread. The next two, Spirit and Opportunity, were about the size of go-karts. And they kind of looked like Johnny Five from Short Circuit.
I like
or
it.
Wall-E a little bit. And then in 2012, they landed this car-sized rover. Well, you can't just bounce 2,000 pounds onto the surface. It would leave quite a crater, no matter what the airbag looks like. Mm-hmm. And so what they did, and what they'll be doing again with this second rover, this one's named Perseverance. In 2012, it was named Curiosity. It looks like a flying saucer is coming through the Martian atmosphere, right? So as it breaks through the atmosphere, it takes 7 minutes to get to the ground. They call it the 7 minutes of terror. As it's coming through, picture a flying saucer breaking through the atmosphere. We look like the UFOs on Mars. The bottom of it detaches, and it just leaves the top of the saucer. And up in the top of the saucer, the rover's jammed up in there with its wheels facing the ground. Well, a big parachute deploys and starts to lower the saucer and the rover toward the ground. As it does this, once it gets to a certain point near the ground, it deploys what's called a sky crane with a jet backpack. So a backpack holding onto the rover starts blowing this air as it gets down, and then it's got what's called a sky crane, these cables that start to lower the rover out of it. And once the wheels touch the ground, this thing that's hovering over it knows to detach the cables, blow away and crash away from the rover. The rover's sitting on its wheels, the little mast goes up, and then it is ready to roll. In 2012, they did it. They're hoping to do it again. It will launch on July 20th. It takes roughly 7 or 8 months to travel the 40 million miles, roughly, to get to Mars. And then in February, at some point, it will break through the Martian atmosphere, Perseverance, and it will do this landing again. A lot of people wonder, well, what's the difference between Perseverance and Curiosity? Built on a very same model, but Perseverance obviously is updated, and it has 2 really cool things different from Curiosity. Number one, it's got its own little Sentry drone helicopter that it's going to deploy. So it will drop this little helicopter on the surface of Mars, and it will take off and fly all around the area, and it will help guide where Perseverance can go. If there's big rocks in the way, if there's other problems, it can help, kind of give you an idea. And it's practicing technology for future Mars missions of having one robotic thing with another smaller robotic thing, checking out the ways. So this Mars rover also has better wheels because Curiosity's wheels have suffered some major damage from the very rocky terrain over the past several years. And then finally, this is the really, really cool part of the mission. So Whereas Curiosity would pick up dust and drop it on the inside of a little science lab, and it would study the rocks and tell you if it had the makeup to have once held the properties that caused water. This one, the new one, Perseverance, will scoop up some of this dirt, drop it inside, hermetically seal it in a little canister, leave it at a certain GPS position, and drive away from it. And they're planning in 2028 to land a lander, not a rover, but a lander near it or on top of that leaving. It will scoop it up, load it into a rocket, and launch it from Mars back to Earth. And we'll be able to study our first true untapped, untouched Martian samples of dirt. So a lot of cool things, a lot of long-range things. The people at Jet Propulsion Lab in Pasadena are just brilliant coming up with this stuff. And it's just super exciting, but just getting that rover to the ground is such a feat. And then everything they plan to do afterward is just cake and amazing.
Well, I tell you this all the time. Why are you not teaching at Florida Tech? I don't understand. That was fantastic. I don't get it. What are we doing? You need to be a professor there, and you need to teach this stuff. This is going to be in the paper? Like, what are you doing with this exactly?
Well, our space reporters, we have, a great space team, Emery Kelly, Rachel Joy, and Antonio Jaramillo. They will be covering the launch. They'll be writing stories leading up to this. I'm working on some of the video aspects of it. So I have one video that tells the differences between the rovers, as I've just explained it to you. I have one video that's kind of a mission overview, because there's a lot more going on than what I've explained here. I have one video that talks about the landing spot and why they've picked this particular place that they're landing Perseverance. And then finally, I have one that looks at basically the exploration history of Mars. And right now we have 8 things that we have landed successfully on Mars, either rovers or landers. And we've got an amazing history with Mars, and Perseverance is going to kind of take that next step to help us understand, can we get people there? Can we create water or oxygen or grow things there? And, what are the next steps going to be? Because all indications say that there was a time when Mars was completely flooded and flowing with water. And, what happened? Can it happen again? So many questions to answer.
No, I like Elon Musk, where he said the other day he wants to buy Facebook to then shut it down. I would like to see this happen, if that's okay. I just want to see if he can do it. We can go to Mars, and I want to see if he could shut down Facebook. And then, what did you say earlier? The 7 minutes in hell? What did you just say?
It's referred to as the 7 minutes of terror, the 7 minutes of terror. The time when you break through the Martian atmosphere to the time you put this one's going to be a little heavier, to the time you put a 2,300-pound rover on the surface of Mars. So, and this one's a little bit smarter. The last one, you kind of like landed where they could land you. This one, they can actually kind of like change course a little bit if they're looking like they're going to come down in a bad spot. So, like I said, I went out to Pasadena in 2010 to see Curiosity in pieces at JPL. And then I was here in 2011 when we launched from Cape Canaveral. And then I was in Pasadena in 2012 when they landed. And some of the video footage that I shot of just how the celebration that kicked off when that touched on Mars, some of that will be in some of the video work that I'm working on. So, those will be coming out in the next couple of weeks at floridatoday.com. It takes a while to put together all of this video stuff, and NASA has such cool animations, footage of the rover being tested out west and things like that. So yeah, it will be visually really cool stuff for people to come and watch once I get this project completed.
I've been on 7 Minutes of Terror. It's that ride at Epcot. I'll keep bringing it up. It's my buddy. It's the NASA ride we're talking about. My buddy found it on YouTube where someone filmed the whole experience. I was like, no, I'm not going to have post-traumatic stress from this. Nice try, Jason, you jerk. Okay, are you ready to play the movie game?
Oh, I can't wait.
Okay. Let me bring it up. If you are new to the show, we play the movie game every Thursday with Tim Walters. We switch off weeks you have to come up with a bad kind of recap of a movie, and the other person has to come up with what the movie is. And by the way, while you were talking, I dropped some Powerade on my carpet, so that is in the back of my head right now. So we got to get this done so that I can clean my carpet. Here we go. Okay, like we did 2 weeks ago. If you're new to the game, we're here with Tim Walters of the Florida Today. Yeah, I'm just gonna do an easy one. Crazy man hears voices and decides to reconnect with his long lost dad. That is Field of Dreams. So this is what we're talking about. So I wrote 10. I feel like in another year, I'm going to have 5,000 of these on my phone. Are you ready, Tim, to play the game?
All right, let's give it a shot.
Okay. A high school kid goes on a field trip that makes him ill. He ends up working at a newspaper part-time.
Spider-Man?
That is correct. There's no way Peter works at the Daily Bugle now as a kind of contractor photographer. There's no way that's a job now.
No, he would have been laid off a long time ago, or he would have been cut in the freelance budget cuts.
Yeah, that's exactly what would have happened. Okay. I don't know if you're going to get this. A California high school girl is bad at relationships. She ends up falling in love with her former brother-in-law who's older than her. As if. What is the movie?
Clueless.
That is correct. It's kind of a weird movie. She's a high school student, and then Paul Rudd, who's like Ant-Man now, he plays like they used to be not brother. I'm sorry. I said it wrong. He used to be the stepbrother, right? And then I think the parents divorced, but he still hangs around the house, and he's in college, and then he's going to date a high school girl. It's kind of bizarre when you think about it. Okay, I butchered that.
And Paul Rudd hasn't aged since.
No, he is not. I agree with you. Okay, we're here with Tim Walters. Here's the movie game. A rich man decides to fight a local reporter, but in the end, they stop fighting because it turns out their mothers have the same first name. It's a terrible movie. I make fun of it all the time on the show.
A rich man fighting with a reporter and their mothers have the same first. I don't know.
Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice.
I haven't seen that one.
They're fighting. I'm going to send you the clip. You don't need to watch the whole movie. They're fighting, and then all of a sudden, Batman's going to kill Superman, but then he realizes they both have their mothers are both named Martha. So he's like, I can't kill this man. His mother has the same first name as my mother. That's the plot to the movie. Okay, here we go. A man breaks out of a psych ward because he really wants to see his long-lost sister. It's a 70s movie. I'm going to say it one more time. A man breaks out of a psych ward because he really wants to see his long-lost sister.
Psycho? Or not Psycho. What's the one with Jack Nicholson? The Shining? No.
Well, it's a horror movie.
Critical Condition with Richard Pryor?
Oh, no, it's a horror movie. It's very famous. Breaks out of a psych ward to go see his long-lost sister.
Oh, boy.
It's the original slasher movie. I can't believe you can't get this.
Halloween?
That is correct.
Okay, I gotcha. Yeah. The plot makes sense now. Okay.
It does. A man takes an unexpected trip to Europe to find his daughter.
Taken.
That is correct. Okay. Visitors show up to ruin 4th of July holiday weekend.
Independence Day?
That is correct. I wrote these at 7 a.m. Here we go. Local teacher must choose between true love or attending a baseball game at the end of the movie. I don't know if you've seen this movie, though. A lot of people haven't.
Sure.
I don't know if you've seen it.
Summer School?
That's a terrible movie. Mark Harmon's in that. It is Fever Pitch with Jimmy Fallon. Have you seen that one?
No, I have not.
You and your wife should watch it. It's not bad. It's based on the original story is a British guy where he's an Arsenal soccer fan and he's a high school teacher. and he falls in love with a woman, and then she doesn't understand why he's so crazy about the team. And then they translate it to our country where he's a Boston Red Sox fan. So they're not bad. Okay. A rich man decides to attend school with his son and date his own professor. What is this movie?
One of my favorite movies of all time. Gotta be Back to School, Rodney Dangerfield, the Triple Lindy.
That is right. I felt like if I said anything about swimming, it would have given it away, like right away.
Hey, here's a little tidbit of trivia about that wonderful movie. The professor that he dates in that movie, that is the woman who played the original Hot Lips Houlihan in the MASH movie, but she didn't play Hot Lips in the TV show. So there you go.
Only you will not. When you teach at Florida Tech, when you're teaching like astrophysics, it'll be like that'll be one of the questions on the test as well about MASH and Back to School. That's what it'll be. Okay. High school girl falls in love with a 100-year-old classmate, wishes she could be more like him. There's no way. There's no you didn't see this or read it. There's no
Benjamin Button?
No. I'm going to read it one more time and I'll give you the answer. A high school girl falls in love with a 100-year-old classmate, wishes she could be more like him.
I imagine he's an alien of some sort or an animal. I don't know.
The answer is Twilight. He's a vampire, and she wants to be a vampire. I know.
Thankfully, I've not seen that.
I have. Okay. This is the final one for a Thursday. Two friends fall in love with sisters at a wedding that they were not invited to.
Wedding Crashers?
That is correct. Wow, you did very well, meaning I did very bad. That's what the answer is. His name is Tim Walters of the Florida Today newspaper. Tim, what should we check out you're going to be working on here for the paper now?
Yeah, and that's, I'm kind of ensconced in working on some of these Martian videos. So that's the big thing I'll have coming up in the next week or two. I also just wanted to mention on our silly movies that I was in a big box store recently, and in the $4 and under DVD rack, I found a movie that I hadn't seen in 30-something years and would love to see it now because I bet I would understand it better. It stars Richard Pryor and George Carlin and is called Car Wash, so I can't wait to watch that.
Oh, so you bought it for $4?
Well, $3.74, I think it was.
Should we? Okay, wait a minute. Should we do this as a game where I know this is a waste of money during a pandemic, but should we constantly go and try to find the worst movie in there just to talk about it on the air? Should we do this?
Well, I'll tell you the only thing is, do you have that big bin? And I didn't really want to root around in it. I just saw it sitting on top with like a heavenly glow, like George Carlin, Richard Pryor, buy me.
Okay, how about you just take a photo of the terrible movie you see? We'll save money. How about that?
There you go. We'll save the $4.
Should it be also a movie you've never seen before? Like, should that also be the stipulation?
Yes, yeah, because usually that $4 bin has some real stinkers in it.
His name's Tim Walters, Florida Today. Tim, thanks for your help as always, and have a great day. All right, man?
Absolutely. Thanks, Mark.